Hello, I'm EnterElysium and welcome to EE's Advent Calendar. So, we're going to recommend 25 different games that have came out or have done something this year. And first off, we're going to start with Mini Metro. Mini Metro is a game that was on Steam Early Access for a while. It came out about a month ago, and it's about basically managing, or at least sort of a puzzle management strategy game, about running a subway service station, multiple different stations in fact, and you have to keep the underground running. The way it works is very simplistic, but I mean that in the sense of not like stupid or simplified to like, oh, it's silly like levels. I mean, it's nice, it's uncomplicated, but in a way that actually works for it. So, as you can see, the UI and the game itself is absolutely gorgeous. It is minimalistic, but it actually works. I absolutely adore this UI in this game. The UI is so minimalistic, but just works. It is just simple and just does what it needs to do, and it looks absolutely lovely. So the way this game works is you have to make like subway lines that connect different stations and take passengers from each station to other stations. Fairly simple. So you have, say, a circle station. That circle station is going to accept passengers who are circles. So if you have a circle attached to a triangle and a square station, you might get circle passengers appearing at the square station, and you need the train to go pick them up and take them to the circle station. It's a simple enough concept, but that concept actually tends to drive the entire game. And as the game goes on, you will get more stations appearing. Some of the stations will change to more esoteric types. So you might get the circle changes to a star or something, or maybe to some sort of weird cone or whatever. And then you'll get more stations popping up, you'll get more passengers popping up more frequently, and over time, at the end of every week, you'll get to pick certain upgrades. So you can pick extra lines, you can pick extra trains, you can pick carriages which you can attach to each train. You can in fact get, on some special maps, like the Tokyo map, you can get the bullet train, which goes faster between stations. And honestly, this game is absolutely amazing. It is simple, in at least in its concept, but it is actually a really fun game to play. I think it's a game that really typifies the possibility that games can have simple mechanics and a really simple UI, yet actually have some complexity and actually be quite fun. The game itself is not particularly difficult to pick up. The controls are really kind of easy. I would say it's a game that actually could totally run on a tablet, yet be just as good on PC. It's actually that sort of game, and I don't often say that. I think it's probably the only game that I can say that about. The way it works is you have multiple different maps. There are several different maps that you can pick from something like London to places like Tokyo, like I've already mentioned, several American ones, and all of them have sort of a slightly different color palette. I know that the London one, for a start, is based off the actual tube stations. It's quite a famous tube station map that you may have seen that tends to get redone in sort of pop arty type styles. That's actually the basis for that, and the basic UI and layout and design is actually really taken from that. I thoroughly recommend this game. Now, if I was going to criticize it in any few ways, I would say that it is possible to sort of cheese it a little bit. I would say it's a cheese. It's not really a cheat, but it's definitely a cheese, where the way that you lose the game is if you get too many people at one station, so you get people bottlenecking at one station, there's just not enough people getting taken away by trains, a time will appear and the time will count down, and then you will lose when the timer gets to its full capacity. And that's how you lose the game. However, you can cheese it by moving trains around, because trains move almost instantly, not quite instantly. They need to be able to unload the passengers before they can move. You can basically go, oh, this station is about to overflow, quickly move trains around, or quickly add carriages to trains. When adding carriages just is pretty much instant if you're just adding them from like ones that haven't been used. So you can basically cheese it by quickly moving stuff around the board to be able to get them right next to the station, take people away. And while that is, it's an outcome of how you can play the game, it is a bit cheesy. You don't have to plan ahead, whereas the rest of the game really is about planning ahead in the long run and trying to figure out how not to get things bottlenecking, how to get things flowing easily. And honestly, it's a little bit cheesy. However, I still think it's an absolutely brilliant game. The way that it works is generally you're sort of thinking from a very early stage about how you're going to have your lines intersecting. So if you need, of course, someone to get from one line to another line, because they might need to go to a special station that only appears on one of the lines. For instance, they might want to go to a cross station, or a cone station, or whatever, star station, one that doesn't appear very frequently. They will have to go from one line, change at another station to get on another line, change another station to get on another line to be taken there. And that means that they need to go through several stations, which means that they'll be bottlenecking at those stations. And so you're thinking from a very early stage, okay, right, how am I going to do this? Am I going to have lines that go back and forth, or am I going to have perfect loops where they can go round and round? Am I going to have multiple, loops intersecting, or am I going to have sort of one big loop that intersects all the other ones? It's a game where you can think ahead, and that sort of strategies actually really work through it. I absolutely love this game, like I've said. I think it's a game that is, honestly, probably for quite a lot of people. I don't think it's quite a niche game. I mean, it's more of a chilled game, although you can get very frustrated with just the sheer amount of circle stations that appear, which is, of course, very bad because you get people appearing at circle stations, and they go to a circle station, and then you're just taking them on past several circle stations where they're just not going to be taken off. But the game really does work. It works to the best of its advantage. It's absolutely the exact... it typifies a game which can be simple in design and elegant in its UI. I think the word I would use is definitely elegant, but at the same time doesn't lose anything because of it. And it is £7 or your regional equivalent, and for that price, I think that it is a game that I can thoroughly recommend. It's a game that I think would actually get... And I remember, if I was to score games, I would score very harshly. I would say a good game is probably 5 and above for me. I'd say this game is probably getting towards maybe even a 9. It is a game where the downsides of it are not many. Honestly, I think that it does what it sets out to do, and it does it really well. I think, honestly, this game, it's beautiful, it's easy to play, easy to pick up, and it doesn't try and do anything overly complex. It doesn't introduce too many complex mechanics, and it just allows you to have a game where you can play it without having to really go, right, I need to think about all the things in a grand strategy game. And it just allows you to enjoy the play. It's £7 a regional equivalent. I would say, honestly, if I was to give it a score, I would probably score it a 9 out of 10, just because I don't think there's a lot that they could really improve. Yeah, I'd say it's a 9 out of 10, and that is very rare for me, so we're going to open up with that. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. I'll be trying to do as many of these as possible. I think we'll try and do an advent calendar, so one every day up until Christmas itself, if I can. Maybe including Christmas. Let's see. See if we can get enough games. There have been a lot of games this year. A lot of games that I would actually recommend. Certainly better than last year. So, yeah, if you like, if not subscribed, please consider subscribing. And let me know what you think down below. I mean, if you like the game, etc., if you agree with my recommendation, or specifically if there's any other games you think might be worthwhile having on the Advent Calendar. But thank you very much for watching EE's Advent Calendar recommendations, and I'll be back with you tomorrow for more recommendations. Until then, though, stay shiny.